sisters, welcome to our reflection today. Today is an Easter Sunday. Our readings are as follows. The first reading is taken from the book of the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 10, verse 34a, 37 to 43. The second reading is taken from the book of St. Paul to the Colossians, chapter 3, verse 1 to 4. And the Gospel is taken from the Gospel of St. John, chapter 20, verse 1 to 9. Dear beloved of Jesus Christ, today the stone is removed, the tomb is empty, and Jesus is risen because, it is the fulfillment of God's promise. I wish you all happy Easter. There was a time on Easter Sunday, I was asked by one of my catechesis students, "Brother, what's the difference between Jesus and Jesus Christ?" And I think this is a paradoxical question of the nature of Christ's event. There is Jesus of Nazareth and there is a Lord. Out of my Christian conviction, I would say in one hand that Jesus is the historical figure who lived 2,000 years ago, which is temporal, historical, particular within the Jewish history. And in other hand, Jesus Christ is also an historical figure but recognized by the world right after his resurrection. What makes the salvific mystery of Jesus Christ unique and universal is his deepest ontological identity as the Son of God, in which the Gospel of St. John wants us to understand. Although Jesus' human existence once transformed by his glorification through resurrection, this transformation is being made through resurrection. Resurrection is faith in the salvific effects of the cross. Such faith arises as a response to the preaching of Jesus Christ, who has risen from the dead and should be witnessed all over the world. The first reading is very impressive for us as it narrates Peter's address to the Gentiles in the house of Cornelius. As we know, Peter did not understand before, but today he has come to a clear understanding of the continuation of the plan of God, from John the Baptist till Jesus the awaited Messiah, who will come to be anointed by God and to carry out the mission of salvation to the world. Whoever believes in him will have the forgiveness of sins. And one of those believers is Peter. He witnesses, gives testimony of Jesus' ministry, suffering, and death, and indeed the resurrection, which he confirms to us today that Jesus is the fulfillment of God's promise. At this point, Peter insists on that witnessing mission of the apostles by bringing hope and forgiveness of sins to all people. Then, in the second reading, St. Paul tells us that life would be given out of the union with glorified Christ, who was risen and sits at the right hand of God. A union of all Christians with Christ that leads only to seek the above things. This tells you and I that the faithful are from this Easter day on to focus more on the things of heaven, not the earthly facts that ties us every day. It might mean focus on victory rather than suffering. No matter how do we suffer in ordinary life, we will unite it with the one of Christ. We will think of God's redemption. This is again explained in the Gospel of John today, as it narrates the special experience of the disciple when they went to the tomb and see that the tomb is empty. The linen cloth was lying on the ground. These are an element common to all empty tomb stories, which are a sign that Christ is risen. Suffering and death are overcome. Let us transform it into joy because the victory is not only His but also ours. Through His resurrection, we got new life, new hope, and eternal salvation. It is the heavenly Lord gives to us and the heart of our Christian faith. It is God's vindication of Jesus' life and ministry, raising Him to life. Brethren, let me ask you a very simple question. Have you ever been a champion before? Have you ever experienced victory in your own life? You may say yes, and behind that response there is a memory of the suffering that you have gone through. Although you finally achieved your victory, you live and embrace joy as we celebrate today because of Christ's triumph. Allow me to take you to the reality to understand it more. When we face a very serious problem or illness, we would get comfort by looking at Jesus' suffering and death, but indeed the resurrection. Suffering from the illness is not something to be feared, but only a path to deeper our union with Christ. Transform your daily suffering into joyful attitude, and you will be in union with Christ. Therefore, dear brothers and sisters, take a resolution today to transform your life by just this simple action, behavior, attitude, and character. You may feel sad, but look for things which make you glad. You may have done bad, but do not hesitate to change it into better. You may feel lonely, but again I tell you, reach out to someone. Are you a rich person? I encourage you, give some to others. You may feel guilty or sinner. I invite you to go for confession, and you will remain joyful through the help of our Lord God. As today's Psalm 800 says that, give thanks to Adonai, for He is good, His love endures forever. In my distress, I called to the Lord. He heard me and brought me relief. I was pushed hard to make me fall, but the Lord came to my help. I shall not die. I shall live to recount the great deeds of the Lord. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Happy Easter. Thank you, brothers and sisters.